On this episode of Big Drive Energy, we are going to discuss Mitchell's tournament rounds over at the Rocky Mountain Open. Not quite the showing that he had hoped, but some great stories came out of it, as they do with any golf tournament. We're also going to talk about the Ryder Cup picks. Zach Johnson's picks are in. What do we think of the team in the boys club? I've never seen that so much on Twitter in the last couple of days. And then we're also going to talk about, of course, Viktor Hovland winning the FedEx Cup, an incredible 2 weeks of golf for that guy. And this is all brought to you by our presenting sponsor over at Pins and Aces. Mitch has got the Pins and Aces hat on. We recorded a live stream of us doing the Gen6 Driver Challenge at PXG yesterday. If you're listening to this podcast audio version, it will go right into it after this recording. But if you're watching on the YouTube, you have to head back to our YouTube page, go over to the PXG Gen6 Driver Challenge, check out our golf swings, as good or bad as they may be. Watch to see who won the competition in the new PXG Gen6 Driver. And then check out the PXG shop. And Kale, thanks to Kale for producing, did an awesome job. Always cool to get out and do a show, especially on location at a sick place like that PXG place down in Centennial. But Pins and Aces is the only golf brand we wear. They make clothes custom for us for every golf tournament. Just had the CHGO golf tournament last Friday. Got to play Cog Hill. The rough was insane. The scramble was a blast, but they hooked us up with some new CHGO golf polos. Everybody loved them. They sold out almost the first day. So make sure you're checking out pinsandaces.com. Get your orders in on a Wednesday, and then you might be part of a Warehouse Wednesday where they throw free stuff in your order. They do a bunch of fun stuff each week, and Mitchell is almost a full-time employee of them. So there's a bunch of reasons to shop at Pins and Aces. An extra reason is you get 15% off using our code BDE at checkout. So once again, that's code BDE, pinsandaces.com for 15% off your entire order. All right, let's tee it up.
Hello, friends. Welcome to this tradition unlike any.
What was that, Did somebody scream mashed potatoes?
That was mashed.
Rocky Mountain Open recap. Give me the deets. Give me the stories.
Yeah.
So if for real quick, I got up super early on Thursday morning, and I checked Mitchell's tee time. He had an afternoon tee time, which if you listened to the pod last week, you knew he was going to sauce it up on Wednesday. His girlfriend texted us and was like, oh, what did she say? Something like getting him to not drink is like
stopping the Titanic from sinking.
Yeah, that was exactly what she texted us. So we knew you were getting into one on Wednesday night, but I texted Mitchell a full-on scouting report of his playing partners Thursday. I Googled both of them, did some extensive research on their golf careers. How did the scouting report turn out for you?
It turned out pretty well, man. I ended up playing with this guy named Danny Daniels. He's this kid from he's an English kid from suburb of London. And he played college golf at Iowa State and UTSA, which is University of Texas at San Antonio. And now he's like 22 years old. He just turned pro probably this year, but absolutely hilarious dude. Like, I mean, everybody knows that just English-speaking people – sorry, can you hear the washer going off in the back?
Yeah, I was like, my clothes are done.
Yeah, just a little bit of background music for you. Everybody knows that the English like lingo is a little bit different. And he was actually mocking one of the guys in front of us. He's like, "What's up, bro? How are you? brother, like just talking like a typical like Californian American dude. But his lingo was absolutely hilarious. Like he had me cracking up the entire day. He kind of got into it with a dude in the group in front of us because he hit into him twice. The first time was unintentional. The second time he didn't even really hit into him, but they were both drivable par fours. And we heard the dude the second time he was on the green, and Danny flew it about 10 yards, like 5 yards short of the green, but he knew he had no chance because it was into a huge upslope. So he wasn't going to carry it all the way there. But the dude just turns around and yells, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was cracking up, and Danny really didn't give a shit the entire time. But I will say one of the funniest things, a couple funny things. So Danny, we got to this 18th hole on the first day, and it had been raining for about like a half hour, not like heavy rain or anything. But 18 is a drivable par four where he actually hit into these guys. Not that day, but the second round. But we get up to the tee box, or we even get to 17 green because it's kind of up the hill to the tee box, and there is 6 golf carts sitting on the 18th tee box waiting to tee off. So there was 3 groups waiting.
What a
There's 3 groups
disaster.
waiting to tee off before us, and then by the time we teed off, there was 8 carts, and so Danny,
Drivable
and it's
four,
like,
right?
yeah, it's
Obviously.
a drivable four. But the problem is the tournament, what they should have done is told everybody to call the group up behind them once they're on the green. So guys were able to tee off and kind of speed up that process in that way. For those of you who are unfamiliar, a call up rule, basically not a rule, but calling someone up is on like a par 3, hypothetically, where it's a tough green to hit or whatever. It takes a long time and people are looking for balls. You get a group. Once they get on the green, they mark their balls, wave the guys up on the tee box to hit their tee shots. They hit their tee shots. Once those guys are done hitting their tee shots, the group on the green goes back onto the green, finishes, putts out, and then that group gets on the green, marks, waves the next group up. It just kind of speeds things up a little bit because stuff does get really slow. But Danny, absolutely fucking hilarious, because Danny goes, and I don't even want to try to impersonate his English accent, but he sounded like Alfie Solomon's because he had like bad allergies going on. And so it's like really like a gruff voice. If you watch Peaky Blinders, you know Alfie Solomon's is absolutely hilarious. So he goes, "Do you have your rule sheet on you, like the pin sheet, and it's got all the rules on it?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "What's that phone number?" And he calls, we're sitting in the golf cart on the 18T, and he calls the phone number. The rules official's standing like 30 feet from us, so he doesn't answer the phone. So then he goes, do you know the pro shop number, mate?" And I pull up the pro shop number, and he calls the pro shop. He goes, I don't know what the fuck's going on out here, but something needs to change. And like they fucking, so we finally got the rules official. The group in front of us called us up. We called the group behind us up. And I think it eventually sped a bunch of groups up behind us. But the dude really just did not give a single fuck. He was calling himself a bell end. For those of you who don't know what a bell end means, because I was unaware. Like I've heard British people say it, but you know that's just one of those lingos that American people don't use. So it turns out that is the tip of your genitals. So that is what a bell end is. So that is actually pretty fucking funny. I just thought it was like a bell, like an actual bell end, because apparently I'm a fucking bell end for thinking that. But other than that, I had a really good time. I shot 76, 75. Definitely not my best stuff. My putting was pretty fucking bad. The greens were a little bit slower than I would have hoped for. They were definitely, the course was wet, which, I mean, with the rain, it makes sense, but just the fact that they overwater the place, like I got so many mud balls off the tee. It's just kind of that way every year. And my game is just not set up for a wet course. Like I think the winner shot 23 under for 3 days. But these dudes, like, for instance, 18 out there is like 310 carry to the up to the surface level of the green, because it drops off after the tee and then goes back uphill to the green. So you kind of have to carry it all the way to the green. Otherwise, there's a pretty steep hill of rough in front of the green. So you have to carry it all the way to the surface. You can't roll it up by any means. So I hit driver the first day downwind, and I probably landed, I ended up like 10, 15 yards short of the green. The group behind us, we waved them up. This dude carried 3-wood to the center of the green. And I guess that his ball speed, Derek Fribbs, I've played with him before, not a huge fan. I think I mentioned it. Anywho, I guess Danny Daniels said he was hitting balls with Derek Fribbs like on the track, man. I don't know where, but he said his driver ball speed was 195. So he's swinging it like Cameron Young hard, but still to carry 3-wood, 310, 315. Like that's really kind of the difference, is he probably hits driver 50 yards by me. And a lot of those guys do. So, but I will say, and I mentioned in the other pod, there were so many guys out there wearing pins and aces. That it was super cool to see, like all the different shirts, all the different great designs. One other funny story I have to say is, so there's this par 4 fourth hole where there's like what I said it in the last podcast, but Tirado is not a very tough course at all, but they position a lot of trees where you can't take certain lines off the tee, where it pretty much forces you to hit like a certain shot shape, because otherwise it's not a very challenging course. So the few of the tees are in tough spots where you got to hit around trees and all this. So the first day, there's this tree probably about 100 yards off the 100 yards off the tee box, this massive like oak tree. And it's just up the left side to where if you're trying to hit a big cut, or if you pull it a little bit, you're going to hit that tree. So what do? I clip like the very far right side of the tree, yank it just a little bit because there's out of bounds right. So you don't want to hit it right. You don't want to hit it left because you're going to hit the tree. So I clip the tree, drops right under it. I end up making, I think I ended up making, it was a pretty good bogey from there, but either way, it was just a clusterfuck. And so I was just more embarrassed. I'm like, I really hit this fucking tree off the tee box. And then the next day we're on the second hole, which runs right next to the fourth hole. And Jim Knaus was also playing in this, like you had mentioned on the last pod. And he won on the PGA Tour, or didn't win, but he got pretty close to winning on tour last year. Like he's a tour level player. And I saw him hitting a shot from underneath that tree, like his tee shot hit the tree. So I felt way better about hitting the tree after I saw that he had done the same thing. So by no means comparing myself to him, but it always makes you feel a little better when you see somebody else do it, because you're like, I'm the only fucking idiot in this entire tournament that hit that tree. So other than that, it was a good time. Tournament golf is truly like has a mind of its own. You have certain tendencies with shot shapes and things like that when you're in tournament golf versus when you're just playing casual golf. So I feel like I actually struck the ball pretty darn well. Overall, probably need to work on my putting a little bit, and just honestly hitting wedges closer, like, and all clubs in general, just better proximity. And I guess that kind of comes with probably being a little closer to the green. So I'm definitely this winter going to grind on getting some distance. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to hit the speed sticks and really try to gain a little bit of distance, because the second day I hit all 3 of the first greens. I started on 10. I hit 10, 11, 12 in regulation, and I walked out of there 2 over. So there's definitely like a putting aspect to it, where the first one I had was like a 30-footer. It broke like 12 feet, and it was somehow oddly very fast when the greens hadn't been fast all week. And then I 3-jacked, and that is the other thing, is where they put some of the pins on this course, because like I said, it's not that challenging. They just like trick it out. So the pins are like on ledges. They're right on top of ridges. They're on like humps, which I don't even know if that's legal, those little like elephant humps or whatever under the green. So overall, it was great experience. I didn't play as well as I would have hoped for, but I will definitely want to do it again. It's just a good time.
Yeah, and like you said, it gets you back into the feel of like tournament golf. I don't know, was pretty much everybody riding in carts?
Yeah, there was a few people walking, and it was actually funny because Missy, my girlfriend, came out and she saw one of the dude's wives pushing this guy's push cart for him. And she goes, "What the fuck is that?" Because she's not super familiar with, mini tour golf and whatever. And I'm like, his wife's just like caddying for him. And he goes, "As a dude, you don't think you would you let me like caddy for you? You don't think you catch a bunch of shit for that?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, not necessarily. It's just like it's kind of a fucking free for all at these mini tour events. A lot of the guys ride. Some guys think it's more beneficial to walk. It's actually very nice. Like Tirarado, they put on a great event. They run a really good event. They made the carts free for all players, so they had everybody set up with a cart. Because in years past, you'd have to pay for your cart, which I would gladly pay for because I'm not fucking carrying it. I would, if I had my push cart, I would probably walk it, but uh, it is tough when you don't have if you don't have a caddy and you've got your yardage card, you got your scorecard, it's a lot to like kind of handle all on your own. So having a golf cart to keep all your shit in makes it really nice.
Keep your beers in, your whiskey
Yeah,
shots,
I didn't drink it
extra
all.
cooler. Was there a cooler on the cart?
I did not drink it all on the course. But I will. It was actually, I got to say, one more story. So we teed off on 10 the second day, and that's where the in course OB is. And so my other playing partner, he was the assistant pro at Pelican Lakes, Justin, super cool dude. Uh, he shit pumps one right, hits it out of bounds. Uh, like, and it's just so dumb because it's literally, I mean, it's probably like 40 yards right of the fairway, but it just does not look like it should be OB whatsoever. So he has to re-tee. And then Danny Daniels has like 170 yards in, and he pushes one and it lands probably 5 yards right of the green. And it ends up kicking out of bounds because I didn't even realize that in course OB ran all the way up next to the green. So he calls the rules official over, and these dudes are probably both like 75, 80. Nice dudes, not giving him any shit. But he goes, "Is this OB, mate?" Like, because it was right. This is how tight the OB is. It was on the inside of the cart path. It wasn't even across the cart path. It was on the cart path was right of the hole, and the stakes were inside of the cart path. So his ball was actually even inside of the cart path, but if you drew a straight line from pole to pole, it was like 6 inches out. And it was the biggest fucking joke. And Danny like looks in the rules official's face and goes, "That's a fucking joke, mate," and just takes off in the cart back into the fairway. So, oh dude, it was actually pretty funny. And the ironic part was I hit the green, I still made bogey. So just a tough golf hole all the way around.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And when you have such a short course, it sounds like they really did trick it out greens wise. Like you don't want people shooting 58s and 59s at your golf course. If you get
Yeah.
a bunch of drivable fours, there can be some low numbers, but if you put pins in tough spots or make it, not necessarily worth it to drive the hole, you almost want to lay backs, and people don't tend to do that. People that can't like get themselves to be like, oh, I should lay back to 75 or 100 yards, give myself a little more of a full shot in with this pin location. So it sounds like a great time though, and just like the playing partners is truly what makes these tournaments so fun. Like
Yeah.
people always bitch on our TikTok about playing with random people. Well, most of the time, yeah, you never, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, but a lot of the time it can be hilarious. Like people that play golf are just generally funny, or and like people that get uncomfortably mad, like it doesn't make me uncomfortable unless I know them, because that's the
Yeah.
other, like those are the people that you could maybe like not enjoy playing golf with, but only the people that like get uncomfortably mad that I know, that are like mad at like losing to me or whatever, or me, mad at a golf shot, it bothers me. But if I'm playing with some random person and they get pissed, I just like in my cart, like laughing.
Yeah, yeah, you can kind of remove yourself from it emotionally because you're focusing on your own game, worried about playing like shit. Oh, one other thing, Danny. So Justin hit this tee shot into the rough, our other playing partner, and it was really like sitting down. But you know how there's just rough that has like some bare low spots where it looks like it's really sitting down. Like it almost looks plugged, but it's not. So Justin calls us over because Danny and I were riding in the same cart, and he goes, "Do you guys think this is plugged?" And I really didn't have I kind of told him, I'm like, "It really doesn't look plugged to me." And Danny just looks at him and goes, "I think that's just a shit lie, mate," and just drives off. Like he just fucking did not give a fuck. And we all had a pretty good time, but the dude is just straight up as it gets and did not care. And and then Danny made bogey on the last hole to miss the cut by what he made bogey from like right next to the green. And he goes, "If I miss the fucking cut because of that, I'm going to be fucking furious, mate." And then we looked at the scores later that night, and that bogey made him miss the cut by one stroke.
Oh my God.
So it turns out that bogey did cost him a paycheck, but overall, very fun time. I definitely want to play in some more stuff. I think I'm going to try to play in maybe like the Cape Cod Open out in like Martha's Vineyard next summer, and a few other things in kind of the Northeast. So, and then maybe try to come back out and play in the Rocky Mountain Open. But it's definitely like I hadn't done it in 4 years. So it's definitely good to like just get back to it and kind of see what you're made of a little bit. And now I know what I need to work on, and I'm going to be better for it. So.
Yeah, just move, just get better, move on, make yourself, aware of what you did wrong. It sounded like putting was kind of the main issue, which a lot of the times it can be, but it sounded like, honestly, you were not just not making putts, you were also unfortunately 3-putting, and then it just kind of spirals from there. I know exactly what you're talking about. I do it almost every round. So it's hits near and dear to my heart.
Feeling lost on the greens is not a fun feeling, but I kind of did feel that at some point just because I couldn't get the speed right. Putts were breaking an absolute shitload, or they weren't breaking at all. It was just I needed to be better, and I wasn't. So borderline. There was no. I'm sorry, not borderline. There was really no two ways about it. I needed to be better on the greens. I wish I would have putted like Viktor Hovland putted this last weekend, because holy shit, did that dude make every single putt that he needed to down the stretch on Sunday.
Yeah. So before we get to Viktor Hovland winning the FedEx Cup and being the hottest golfer on planet Earth right now, I want to tell you guys about our favorite golf course over at Broken Tee. We're actually going over there later this afternoon to record some TikToks. We're going back to our pro shop. We're going back to our roots. Another day, another day. But we're going to record some pro shop TikToks from Broken Tee. They're nice enough to let us in there and let us, destroy their pro shop, essentially. Hopefully no one's in there taking in the, it's awkward. As much as we love to record those, it's not fun when someone's watching us, essentially. So we're going to give that a shot, record from Broken Tee. We've got some good ideas, and hopefully get back to our pro shop ways that somebody's taken from us. But Broken Tee is not only the coolest golf course, but it has the best vibes. You can tell by just their pros allowing us to go over there and record TikToks that they have good vibes. It's 27 holes, 18 championship holes, and a 9-hole par 3 course. They got a great stocked pro shop with DNVR gear and a bunch of other gear from Pins and Aces, a whole hat wall. I have to refrain from buying a hat every time I'm there. They've got experienced teaching professionals with Meta Golf and a great restaurant that's new and rebranded from Jared over at Wyatt's at Broken Tee. They got a charity tournament coming up Friday, September 22nd, with prizes supporting the Bridge House and the Tri-Cities Homeless Action Team effort into a navigation center that will provide a facility for community members struggling with homelessness to receive temporary shelter, connect with services, and create a pathway out of homelessness for good. So make sure you check that out at Broken Tee. And if you use the code DNVR10, you get 10% off of your rounds over at Broken Tee. So make sure you check them out. Broken Tee Golf in Englewood. It's our favorite place to go play. Great vibes, great golf course, just an all-around great spot to be at and play golf at. I also want to tell you guys about Breckenridge Distillery. We had our first Broncos tailgate this past weekend, just a little preseason action. Went through a couple bottles of one of the blue and one of the orange blend. Breckenridge Distillery is the world's best bourbon. They are the world's highest distillery. And like I mentioned with the battle of the orange versus the blue, Ed McCaffrey versus Alfred Williams, you can vote on your favorite Breckenridge Distillery bourbon, and you win Broncos or Breck Distillery swag. To enter that competition, go to BreckenridgeDistillery.com /bourbon-of-Denver-Broncos, #Broncos Bourbon, and you can win 2 tickets to the Breckenridge Bourbon Whiskey Suite for Broncos Chargers on New Year's Eve. Also post your favorite Broncos blend and pictures on IG or Facebook using the #Broncos Bourbon. On December 1st, it'll be narrowed to 10 favorites, and then it'll go to a fan vote. Most votes will win tickets and distillery and Broncos swag. So once again, head to BreckenridgeDistillery.com, and you'll be able to get into those competitions, win yourself some free stuff from our favorite distillery over at Breck. They also have a new vodka commemorating the first white alternate Broncos helmets called the Broncos Blizzard. So I'm definitely going to have to try that new vodka from Breck Distillery.
Is that a flavored vodka?
I don't know. It's just maybe it's like a vanilla vodka. I hope not. I don't know if I want to know. Definitely have to give that a test run. But Breckenridge Distillery, while in Colorado, is available in all 50 states. Shop your retailer or visit www.breckenridgedistillery.com for home delivery of our award-winning Breckenridge spirits. Apres anywhere. All right, Viktor Hovland. What a dominant 2 weeks.
Man.
On our last pod, I was like, I just should pick him to go back to back. But I was like, it's too popular. It's too trendy. And everything that we talked about last pod was proven wrong almost in the first day. Like Scotty did not make a move, and then it was just a straight up log jam at the top, which was awesome. It made for a great watch until the end. Of course, Viktor ran away with it late Saturday, early Sunday. Xander Schauffele gave him a little bit of a push to win just a measly $5 million, but Viktor walks away with 18 mil and the FedEx Cup championship when, a couple weeks ago, you didn't know if this guy could ever win the big one. He won the Memorial, but that's like, your mid-level tour event. Mid, it's a little higher than an average. It's not an opposite field event, but we always wondered, can Viktor win never won a major? Can he break through? And he's always a favorite pick of everybody at these big events. But do you think this is like bigger than him winning a major? Do you think winning back-to-back events and winning the FedEx Cup is obviously it's bigger in his pocket, but what does it look like to you in the scope of his golf career?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think it's bigger than him winning a major, but I definitely think it fast tracks him, even in his own mind, into winning a major. Because if I'm being dead honest, I did not think he had this in him. Like I said earlier, he made every single putt he needed to make. Like Xander gave him everything he had coming down the stretch Sunday afternoon, and Viktor did not waver one bit. He made every single putt he looked at. He made every single putt inside 10, 12 feet. And I think the biggest putt he probably made, I think it was on 14. He made like a 22-footer for par. And you could just see the visible fist bump, the kind of the Tiger-esque celebration. Like he knew that was a big deal. Because while he carried a lead, like Schauffele was not taking his foot off the gas, so he couldn't be making any bogeys. And coming down the stretch, he was just straight nails, man. And I really do think now, come to find out that he hadn't been really implementing any of the short game stuff until I want to say it was like TPC Sawgrass this year, the Players Championship. So he's really only been working with Joseph Mayo, his short game coach, for probably 6 months now, or less than 6 months. And the numbers have drastically improved from April till now. He was like 50th in strokes gained around the green, where he was outside the top 150 before that. So, and that kind of goes back to what we talked about before about your short game being able to free up your tee to green game. Like when you know you're going to chip it good, or you feel good about getting up and down from anywhere, you're logically going to be a little bit more freed up in the middle of the fairway to make a swing, go after a pin. You're not really worried about, if I miss the green, I'm making bogey. So I think just a huge step in the right direction for Viktor. And it really does make it exciting too, because, if we can get Viktor in this kind of 2-horse race that John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler have been running a little bit this year. And also, not to mention the fact that Viktor's only 25. He's younger than both of these dudes. So he's really got like a lot more in front of him. And it's crazy when you look at him and think he's only 25 because he feels so mature and he feels so much older than he, than he actually is, which I think bodes well for his golf game. But I would love to see him competing in the majors. If he can putt like that, he's one of the best ball strikers on the PGA Tour week in, week out. So I just think that it has put his career trajectory in a different place for me. Whereas I thought maybe he could win one major at some point, maybe over the life of his career, like a dozen PGA Tour events. Now I think if he can keep this kind of momentum rolling somehow in the next year and just that confidence, I could see him winning 20, 25 times, 30 times on the PGA Tour and multiple majors. So he's going to be a fun dude to watch for a really long time. And on top of it, I have to say I like him a lot more than I like Jon Rahm or Scotty Scheffler. He's got like that bubbly kind of fun personality, and that's a really kind of douchey way to put it, bubbly. I'm sorry I said that. But he's just got this very unique, like funky personality. He's always smiling. He's always joking around. And that's the difference is so many of these dudes take themselves so serious. And I don't really think Viktor does. Like he takes his golf game serious, but he doesn't take himself serious. Like even in the interviews when he was shanking chips and they go, "What's going on?" He goes, "I suck at chipping." Like he's not the kind of dude that's too proud to say that shit. So he's just a very, very likable dude, a guy that I'm going to root for going forward. I think that he can pretty much win wherever he goes if he plays like he did this last week.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, really. I mean, he's just been on fire, and
Yeah.
there was a little bit of a rain delay on Sunday, which kind of you thought maybe could throw a wrench into it. Not that I didn't want Viktor to win, but wanted it to be a little closer down the stretch as we always do. And he comes out of the rain delay and hits like a 16-footer for par, and that's when you knew. I mean, he birdied one, and Xander all of a sudden, who hit it closer than him, has to birdie the hole just to keep it level and not lose a shot on Viktor. And then I want to say whatever the hole that he made the putt you were talking about, I think it was like 22.5 feet. And goes to show how good his ball striking was all week. That 22-footer was the longest putt he made all week. And he was lapping the field at 26 under at one point. Granted, he started at 8, so he was 18. But
for that caliber of golf course, 18 under is pretty fucking dirty. When you think about Scotty Scheffler shooting over par, albeit he pretty much pissed his pants on the greens again, which he does every single week, it feels like at this point. But they're some of the best players in the world are shooting over par. And that was actually the coolest part too, was Schauffele and Hovland had the lowest rounds of the week in the final group on Sunday. So like golf courses they're like snowflakes. They're all built differently. They're not a single one is the same, because for as well as Viktor played and it felt like he ran away with it, it was so much fun to watch. Like these dudes were making putts. They were going back and forth. They were pulling off shots. They were getting up and down. It wasn't just this boring ass, like Rory McIlroy at the US Open makes 17 pars and a bogey or some shit. Like it was so much fun to watch, which is very welcome at this point.
Yeah. Any fun golf to watch it gets the crowd going, it makes it more favorable for the casual watcher. Like Absolutely. If you tuned in to see that and you're like, oh wow, they're tearing this course up, and then you've got guys like Emiliano Grillo shooting like 7 or 8 over, getting DFL, but DFL in the top 30 still netted him over 500K for the FedEx Cup, so not too terrible. And then of course, no Justin Thomas, which leads us into the Ryder Cup picks, and Zach Johnson. And what do you think about that? First, let's first talk about our great friends over though at Burrito Express. Of course, if you're in Arizona, get down to Burrito Express. They have 6 locations. Tempe location is just great, right by the campus of ASU. I think I might be going down there in a couple months. So I'm definitely going to hit up Burrito Express right when I get off the plane. They're super big into the community service, and they support Arizona State athletics and athletes. And I'm a big steak burrito guy. Always steak on their burrito. You can get it chimney style. So make sure you check out Burrito Express and follow them on Twitter or X at Burrito EXP. So that's at Burrito EXP on Twitter. They've got some funny content that they put out along with great burritos, just an all around great brand. And then, of course, leading into one of the funniest moments of the weekend is Mitchell not hitting his bet on Bet365 because it was a straight forecast of Viktor Hovland plus 2,500 over Rory McIlroy, but turns out they needed to finish 1-2. But Bet365, if you use the code DNVR365 when you sign up, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. We've still got some bonus bets in the tank that we're going to unload on this fall season. Kind of nice to not have a tournament this weekend and not have our big bet energy go out. Now we get to clean the slate. We'll clean the slate from this past year, which was actually really one putt away from being really good. That's how close it can be in golf tournaments. If Denny McCarthy, I'm not salty about it still, but if Viktor Hovland, this motherfucker that all of a sudden is the FedEx Cup champion, wouldn't have broken our hearts, we would have had a great year units wise. Instead, we were just down, I think, 10-ish on the year. So not bad to bet golf and full send on it every week, but we're going to have to rethink our strategy moving into the fall season. Definitely taking Max Homa in the Fortnite if he's playing it, but check out Bet365. It is the best betting app. They've got so many options for golf. They've got so many options for every sport, and they're like the pioneers of live betting. They stream over 780,000 events each year, and you get a better price on chosen markets with boosts or super boosts, which unfortunately that Viktor Hovland bet was boosted. But they have some great boosts, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they do not. But it's always fun when a boost hits, and Mitchell even got to cash out a little bit because of one of the boosts hitting. So check out Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 at sign up and get $200 in free bets, or excuse me, bonus bets when you bet. Deposit $10 and bet $1. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you want someone you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Ryder Cup picks quickly. Boys Club. Justin Thomas, Sam Burns in the club. Keegan Bradley not in the club. Your initial thoughts?
Cam Young not in the club.
All right, let me start here real quick. Yes, Cam Young's a good player. The dude hasn't won shit. I'm sorry.
Literally, he's not won the PGA Tour. So that, yes, I would agree. That is way less egregious.
I think all the hoopla about both Keegan and Cam not making it, I think they both have resumes that look like they could make the Ryder Cup. I think the worst part about this is JT. He makes it look bad. If JT was playing semi-decent golf this year and has this history that he does at the Ryder Cup, it wouldn't even be a question. People could genuinely argue for Cam Young or Keegan Bradley or Lucas Glover even. Who's been now arguably the second best golfer behind Viktor Hovland in the last month. But the Cam Young stuff, as much as I love the dude, I bet on him every single week, it seems like almost. I don't get the hate for that. Like, the kid has no experience. He's never won on the tour. He always seems to falter. Yes, he hits the ball a mile. Yes, he's one of the best ball strikers on tour. Yes, he has had an overall good year and has like 4 top 10s at majors, but I don't know. I'd take a win on a smaller tour event than a top 10 at a major for this category and to compete for the country.
Yeah, I mean, I will say he is literally the highest ranked in Ryder Cup points ever to not be selected. He was 9th this year, so he was just outside of the 6 that get the auto bid, and so that kind of really sucks for him. But yes, I agree. The Cam Young is way less egregious. I think Keegan Bradley should have been on that team 1,000%. And what everybody's like, well, Justin Thomas is like a foxhole guy. Like he's that scrappy, like, dude, you won your corner. And I'm like, you look at Keegan Bradley, that dude's a fucking certified psycho. He's like fit for a straitjacket. So I don't see any problem with Keegan Bradley being there, especially when he's playing some of the best golf of his career. He had like a kind of a career reviving season, and to not reward him was clearly like it tore him up, all the posts on social media. But I really do feel bad for Keegan. And if Justin Thomas goes out there and lays an egg, then Zach Johnson's going to have some fucking answering to do. See, and Sam Burns is not near as egregious for me because this dude is, I think Burns is pretty underrated overall. He won the match play. He's just a very, very solid player, and he happens to be one of Scotty's buddies. So that's more of a vibes thing. I know we're going to see Scotty and Sam paired together once, if not twice or three times. But the whole Justin Thomas and even Jordan Spieth, like, I don't mind Jordan. I'm not like his biggest fan, but if you really had to like gun to my head, I'm taking Keegan and Cam Young over Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas just from this qualifying. You know, it's not off your career, it's not off your record. It's who's playing the best golf right now. And like Keegan Bradley, like I said, that dude is crazy. And I think he kind of brings that sort of mentality. And everybody's like, oh, well, you know, they picked Ian Poulter. He only qualified once. I think that the teammate camaraderie hits different for Europe than it does for Ian Poulter. Meant more to the European team than Justin Thomas means to this team, bar none. Like that's not even a question. Ian Poulter is like arguably top 3 Ryder Cup player ever. And Justin Thomas has a good record. You know, he's played in 2 of these, or has he played in 2 of them or 3 of them? However many he's played in, 4 of them, I don't care. I just think that Keegan Bradley should have gotten a shot. And, you know, if this shit doesn't work, like it's kind of that tale as old as time. Something's only wrong if you don't win. So as long as they win, nobody's going to have a problem with it. But hindsight being 2020, if they end up losing this Ryder Cup and Justin Thomas is out there firing 84s in Rome, like it's fucking his job, then I think everybody's going to be pissed.
Yeah, well, the quote from Keegan Bradley, quote, I could tell by the response from Zach Johnson when I answered the phone that I wasn't on the team. I'm super bummed out. Thought I put together a really good year with 2 wins, including a Hartford over an elite field. I'm proud of what I've done. I think JT is a generational talent. I've always been an outsider in the sport, but I've tried to get closer to the guys I thought I would be on the team. I feel like moving forward, I'm going to have to automatically qualify for the Ryder Cup. I am pulling for the U.S. team. So kind of just a good guy. Keegan's just a good guy, and we knew that. But yeah, this could go multiple ways. If Zach Johnson, if they win the Ryder Cup, no matter what, Zach Johnson's not going to care about Justin Thomas's record. If they win the Ryder Cup and Justin Thomas is semi-decent in it, he may like point to that. And then if they lose the Ryder Cup and Justin Thomas is horrible, then it's going to be a shoulda, coulda, woulda this whole time. And Keegan and Cam are going to sit there and be like, you know, what the fuck, essentially. So,
yeah. Well, and that's the other thing with golf versus like other team sports is you can't just will yourself to play better golf. Like if you're in a slump, you're in a slump. JT is in the biggest slump of his career. And who knows, this could be the week that pulls him out of his career slump and maybe he turns around and wins a major next year. But that's, it's not Zach Johnson's job to do JT a career favor, which I felt like was by selecting him was just a little bit of a favor. So obviously I'm stoked for the Ryder Cup. It's going to be an awesome watch. It's going to be a blast, but it just disappoints me a little bit because I feel like Keegan's about as patriotic of a dude as they come. And I wish it wouldn't have had to be that way, but I'm very excited. And as long as the U.S. wins, I really don't give a shit. But if you look across the lines at the Europeans team, they're stacked. They're going to have a very, very tough team again this year, like they always do. And it's just going to be a really fun week of golf. So I feel for Keegs, but as long as we go out and win, I don't give a shit who plays.
Yeah, exactly. I'm already excited to watch the Ryder Cup. It's just it's like it's major level excitement, and we'll definitely be doing some live content and pods around the Ryder Cup here coming up at the end of September. We'll leave the pod with this because I thought this, not often a tweet makes me absolutely laugh out loud, but Alex Campbell at A Campbell Sports tweeted us when we asked about what you think about the Ryder Cup picks, and he said, not sure, quote, frequently shoots in the 80s, quote, end quote, is a thing me and a Ryder Cup player should have in common. And obviously talking about JT, but I thought that was laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, that show was hilarious. Very well done.
Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Big Drive Energy. Continue to listen. If you're just listening to this on the audio version, we'll send you over to ourselves at the PXG Denver location where we got fitted for some drivers and did a driver competition. And if you're on YouTube, head over to that video as well. That is already posted on our page. You get to see us swing. And if you're listening to this in general, head on over to the YouTube. You always get the video version of our podcast, youtube.com, Big Drive Energy. Look us up. Give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we appreciate you all tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.